just wanted to pick your mind. Instead of selling your facilities, wouldn't it be better to pull money out of your facilities to be liquid so you can continue to enjoy the cash flow, future appreciation? Seems like that would check boxes. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that it just as long as the numbers work, you could totally do that. And we may, I mean, if he doesn't come in with a good offer, then we could do a cash out refi is what we could do as well. Yeah. And we may do that. I mean, we've got like 12 facilities. We've got several of them that are owner financed. And then some of them, but most of them are just like private debt is what they are. And those notes are starting to come due, because typically my notes on my private debt are anywhere from like 3 to 5 years. And so like all those notes are all starting to come due. So we had one note that came due, and then I talked to, actually the lender that lent me the money. He was like, it's been 5 years. Do you want to, like, what do you want to do? Are you going to sell your property or what? And I was like, yeah, I think it's about selling it. He's like, why don't you just like refi, why don't we just do it again? And you could just have another 5 years. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't want my money back. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm paying 8% interest to him. 8% interest is what like everybody's paying right now. 8% interest like on houses. People are paying that on houses right now. So for me, like, if I can get 6 to 8% interest on money, like, I could just you do private money as well. Anyway, so that's kind of that now. But yeah, maybe we refi out, but like, a couple of the properties we may sell, we may 1031 exchange that into like some other facilities or some other property as well too. Or we may just hold on to the cash and just have it available. We're not 100% sure. We're just kind of like trying to really figure out what to do. And I really do want to have like money available for next year, because I think that next year is gonna be like so good. So hopefully you guys are preparing for next year. Where can I get some money to buy some facilities, either partnering with other people or having your own money, right? And yeah, there's a lot of facilities on Crexi right now, so just make sure. And that in most of the realtors that like, or the brokers that put the stuff on Crexi, like they just don't know how to run numbers, right? I mean, NOI is not how much you're going to make. All right. I don't understand the whole concept of NOI. NOI is really important if you pay cash, right? But really NOI minus your mortgage is what you really need to be looking at. Right, that's the key. And they just post out 75,000 NOI, and it's just like, but that means nothing. I don't know. Do you think it's better to start with close to $1 million, 100 units net property, than smaller ones due to the economies of scale? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. That's kind of what everybody says. But the truth is if you can afford $1 million, go for it and do $1 million. Okay. If you can't afford $1 million, you need to buy whatever you can afford. All right. Because that's going to get your foot in the door. Okay. Whatever you can afford. So like I have a student, Luther, that he has no money. He's 22 years old. Is he on here? Everybody knows Luther in the group, right? And he like has no money. He has no money, and he has 3 facilities. He's been in the coaching program since January. And he's getting the owner to owner finance, these little tiny facilities that are like maybe 30 to 50 units, something like that. And then he has to come out of pocket, maybe like, $5,000 or something like that. So he scrapes together this money to do that. So the truth is like whatever you can afford, whatever you can do, that's what you should be doing. So maybe it's $1 million, but if you're going to just tell yourself, I can only buy something if I have $1 million and then save up, I mean, it's 200 grand. You know what I'm saying? So you might as well just say, look, I know I can come up with 50 grand. Let me just get out there and look for something and see what I can find for, 50 grand, or maybe I could put $50,000 down or something, Yeah. So I don't want to stop anybody, based on the money that you have. And you could always wholesale something as well too. I always talk about wholesaling. I teach this in my coaching program. And then also somebody asked, what's small? Okay, so for me, like inside our coaching program, for all the turnkey acquisitions that we do for all the students, essentially I tell my virtual assistants, I say, okay, 50 units or less, unless there is room to add on. There needs to be an acre of land. And so like we looked at one today in Illinois, and the owner wants to sell. He wants an offer. He wants an offer. And so we offered him, it's like on a 1.5 acre piece of land, and he has 22 units or 24 or something like that. So there's one building on like this big piece of property. All right. And he wants like 150 grand for it, which I think is kind of fair. Now you would have to come in and add 2 more units, but adding two buildings at 50, you could probably put another like maybe 4 buildings on there, 3 to 4 buildings maybe. Okay, so at 20 units each. So we ran the numbers at 50 and 75. I mean, at 70, if you could spend like 250 grand plus the 150 to purchase, right? So you're all in at like, 400 grand. You'd have a facility, you'd have something that's worth like 900 grand in the end. All right. So you would double the value of that property just by spending that $250,000. All right. So there's just as long as you have that land. So I don't ever tell any of my students just buy something that's like 24 units and there's like no place to grow or anything like that. Okay. I always want some extra land. All right. That's the key.